This week, the HPT celebrates the finale of our 9th season by crowning a champion from the Soaring Eagle Casino Resort in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. The Championship Open once again drew hundreds of players, building a prize pool worth almost $680,000. We started the final leg to the championship with the Elite 9 from this field, and now 6 players are still fighting to be named a champion among champions and take home $160,000.
This is the HPT.
Sit right down, put on your poker face, you with the big dogs now. Better bring your best game, talk trash all you want. To me it's all the same, you won't leave with much when you come in second place. And I'm the one with the stack, showing 7 to the jack. Gon' cry to your mama, cause I'm sending you back. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. Last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand.
Hello again and welcome to the HPT from the Soaring Eagle Casino Resort in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. It is our Championship Open, the granddaddy finale event of the season. And Maria, I can't think of a better place to host the Championship Open than right here at Soaring Eagle.
Soaring Eagle has it all. You could literally drop this right in the middle of Las Vegas Boulevard in the heart of the Strip, and it would fit right in with all the resorts. Full gaming floor, delicious food options, an amazing hotel, and a full-service spa, all set in modest opulence and luxury. Myself and all the players here this week have had an incredible experience.
We also crowned our HPT Player of the Year this week at Soaring Eagle. This season, that honor is awarded to professional poker player Alan Chainsaw Kessler. Alan had several cashes this season on the HPT, and he also made 4 final tables with 3 ninth-place finishes and a third-place finish. For his consistent success and being awarded HPT's POY, Alan will have 6 main event buy-ins and hotel accommodations to use throughout HPT's 10th season.
Congrats to Alan. Unfortunately, he couldn't make his 5th final table here at Soaring Eagle, but he did cash. This field started with hundreds of players from around the country, and all of the champions from Season 9 took their seats on day 1, building a prize pool worth over $678,000. We started our final table with the Elite 9 from this field, and this week we'll continue with 6 players remaining and almost $160,000 waiting for the last player standing.
We are in for a fun ride, no doubt about it. Let's take a look at the money that's left on the line, the updated chip counts, and get right to the action. A lot of money yet to be won here on the HPT. Man, everybody eyeing almost $160,000, but Maria, it's the championship that these players are fighting for. Here is the updated chip count.
Chuck Tawney has kept his chip lead for the first part of the final table, and now 6-handed, he has $4.62 million. Andrew Beardsley is second in chips with just under $4 million, and our short stack is Ardashir Azadmia with about 11 big blinds.
4 of the 6 players remaining have less than 25 big blinds. Maria, all the books say 20 to 25 big blinds is that perfect 3-bet shove stack. Blinds are moving up on this hand. They are now 40 and 80,000 with a 10,000 chip ante. And first to go was Chuck in the 9th seat. Now we're over to the chemistry professor. Ardashir goes by Al. He's going to lay it down. Now over to Ron Bell, another one of the short stack. This is Andrew Beardsley. He's fresh off a double up not too long ago. He's going to fold. And now over to John Drakakis. John's going to limp into an unopened pot here with 9-7 of diamonds.
John and Ben here in the blinds are both pretty short. John's got about 23 big blinds and Ben's got 21 big blinds. I actually like this limp from John in the small blind. He doesn't really have much leeway in his stack to be raised folding off of it, so I think he's just trying to exercise some pot control.
Here is the flop. It is 7-4-10 with a couple of clubs. Very important pot for both these players, and they both catch a piece of it.
John's flopped middle pair, and Ben has bottom pair. John decides to bet into Ben, making it $120,000 to go.
And Ben makes the quick call. So on to the turn we go.
The turn is the 3 of clubs. John is still in the lead with his pair of 7s.
Ben has turned a gut shot straight draw to go along with his pair. I think that 3rd club might slow some action down, though. We'll see.
I think the interesting dynamic here is that both players are committing a pretty big part of their stack if they want to play this hand to the river, and Ben decides that he doesn't want to do that with his holding. and John is going to take down the pot.
John is in shipping and receiving, lives in Battle Creek, Michigan. Plans on using his prize money to play more poker. We see that a lot on the HPT. Action in this hand will start with Ron Bell, a business owner from Toledo, Ohio. Lists $80,000 in total career winnings. Plans to use his prize money to play more tournaments and pay some taxes. That's pretty boring. Andrew Beardsley wakes up with pocket jacks. And he's going to make the expected raise, makes it $500,000 to go.
Andrew's catching a little bit of fire here late into this final table. Earlier, he doubled up with aces against Chuck's queens.
Andrew is a dealer from Swartz Creek, Michigan. I'll just assume he's a poker dealer. Got into this tournament on a $360 qualifier, so he's looking for a great parlay today.
John over in the 7 seat has woken up with pocket queens here, and he's going to go all in. He only has about 25 big blinds.
6-handed with Andrew Stack. Maria, I'm not sure he can get away from pocket jacks in this spot.
No, I think his hand is too strong against a 25 big blind stack. He doesn't love it. He knows there's a strong possibility that he could be flipping, but this is actually even worse for him as he is dominated.
I call.
Going to the flop, a 4-1 dog after he makes the call. And Andrew's been playing well. He's been running pretty well. He's going to need to walk on water to pull this hand away from John. John's tournament life at risk and going to the flop ahead. Over $4.3 million in the pot. Maria, this is what we like to call a swing hand. The rail on their feet, interested to see this flop.
Sometimes when you get deep into a tournament, some hands just end up playing themselves, and it's just about getting lucky at the right time. The flop is 3-3-9, 2 clubs. John is still well in the lead. He also does have the only club.
Andrew looking for a jack. The turn is an ace. That's not going to help him. So 5%, 2 outs in the deck. So 2 cards in the deck can save John here. He's a 5% chance to hit it. To the river we go. It is the jack.
Wow.
My goodness.
That is crazy. What a horrible way for John to go out, 2-outed on the river for his tournament life. He's going to go home with just over $25,000, but that's not going to take the sting off of it for a while.
Poker is a great game. We all love it, but sometimes you can do everything right and still lose. Unfortunate turn of events for John Drakakis.
With that elimination, only 5 players remain now at this HPT final table. Don't go too far because we will resume final table action right after these quick commercial messages. You're watching the HPT.
Thanks for coming back to the HPT here at the Soaring Eagle Casino Resort in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. The Championship Open. Everybody wants this one, Maria, because all the champions from Season 9 came to this event, so they all want to be the champion among champions. Let's check the updated chip count.
And what a time to get lucky for Andrew Beardsley after he scored that knockout. He is all the way up to $6.3 million, and he is our new chip leader. Chuck Tawney is still steady, though, now in the second spot with $4.3 million. And Ardashir Azadnia is really looking for a good spot to shove his 9 big blinds in.
Action in this hand is going to start with Ben Grice. He looks down at ace-10 of clubs.
Ben has just over 20 big blinds to start the hand. Ace-10 of clubs is a good enough hand for him to raise and see what happens.
Next to him, Chuck Tawney, the second chip leader, is going to fold. And Al here, with his 9 big blinds, is going to go all in with ace-6 suited. And right next to him, Maria, Ron wakes up with pocket 8s.
Although they are short-handed, I don't ever advise shoving over an open with a hand like ace-6 suited when you don't really have fold equity. So this might be a small misstep for Ardashir. And now Ron has kind of a tough decision with 15 big blinds with Ben to act behind him. But he does decide to go all in, and that should fold Ben out.
Let's see what Ben's going to do with his ace-10 suited. He is going to lay it down, so here we go. Ron makes the all-in call.
Ardashir's life is at stake here, but actually Ron's shove all in made Ben fold his better ace out, so Ardashir, if he hits an ace here, he'll be in good shape.
Ardashir hoping to get lucky here on the board. The flop is 7 King 3 with 2 diamonds. No love for Ardashir on that flop.
He's going to need running spades or one of 2 aces left in order to survive.
To the turn we go. It is the 4 of diamonds. No help for Ardashir. Ron in a good spot now to knock out a player and move up the money ladder.
Ardashir lost the ace of diamonds as an out, but he does have a gut shot. A non-diamond 5 will also win him this pot.
The river has not been kind to the leading hand at the Soaring Eagle Casino Resort this week. This time it's okay, though. The deuce of diamond falls, and that is going to do it for Ardashir. He's going to leave us in 5th place and go home with a little over $33,000. Congratulations, sir. Ardashir, originally from Iran, now lives in the great state of Michigan. He's a chemistry professor. His total career winnings is listed at $14,000. Well, Maria, he just won over double that. And it says plans for the prize money. He's going to give it to his wife. So also well-trained man as blinds continue at $40,000 and $80,000 with a $10,000 chip ante. First act in this hand, though, will be Ron after just knocking out Ardashir. He's going to fold.
Chuck has been the most loose and active player at this final table thus far, but now that they're four-handed, I really expect to see all of the players start opening up their range.
Action now folded over to Ben.
Ben's got 18 big blinds to start the hand, and he looks down at King 10 from the small blind and just limps in to Chuck's big blind.
Chuck Tawney lists his occupation as welding inspector, but his play at this final table has Maria questioning whether or not he's a pro player. He's been playing at a different level.
The flop is King 6 deuce, and Chuck still running well. He has flopped 2 pair while Ben's flopped top pair, and I'm sure blind versus blind, this is going to spell trouble.
And with Ben's stack as well, top pair in a 4-handed game, he's got to be thinking, I'm going to try to get all the chips in the middle. Chuck bets 80,000, and Ben is just going to smooth call here.
I like that play. Ben has a little too much to check raise all in. He's only going to get Chuck to fold out worse hands. And I think Ben thinks he's giving Chuck a chance to bluff at it on the later streets. But unfortunately for Ben, Chuck actually has a better hand.
And this is where image is really going to help Chuck out, because he has pulled some bluffs at this final table. And he's also hit big hands at this final table. So it's very hard to put him on anything.
Absolutely, and I think that I would not fault Ben at all for not only calling Chuck the entire way, but possibly risking his tournament life here on the river to make this call.
The 9 of diamonds fell on the turn, and now another 9 on the river. What a bad beat for Chuck. Maria, he's just been counterfeited.
And you see Ben raise his eyebrows a little bit, thinking he kind of got out of that one.
Luckily for Chuck, he had the right sense to not fire another bullet at that pot on the river after the board paired.
I think Ben played that hand great, but I feel like Chuck is just not really making any mistakes so far.
Action starts in this hand with Ron. He's going to lay it down. Over to the chip leader, Andrew. He's going to fold his button. And now back to Ben. I think Maria might have a crush on him. Not sure.
I do want to say hi to Ben's mom, though. A little shout out to her. Last time Ben made a final table, I heard that she had messaged him and said, "Oh, this girl is not talking nice about your play." So hi, Ben's mom.
Hopefully you guys have mended that fence. The flop is King 5 Jack Rainbow, so no one hits this flop. I'm sure Chuck would like to exact a little revenge on Ben after that last river. Both players are going to check through.
But I think Ben could easily rep this board because he did show Chuck that earlier he limped in with King 10. So why couldn't he have connected?
The turn is the 3 of hearts, and that's going to give Chuck an open-ended straight draw. Right now, Ben's still ahead with just 9 high. Looks like Ben's going to fire a little probe bet here to see if 9 high is any good. He's going to bet 80,000. I think that move would have worked on the flop, Maria, but now that Chuck has turned an open-ended draw, he's probably going to want to see a river.
Yeah, and he's thinking about the implied odds of hitting it and getting Ben to put more money in the pot on the river. The river is the 7 of spades, and Ben wisely checks it over to Chuck, and Chuck has made his straight here on the river. No doubt he's going to bet, but I think Ben checked the river because he's giving up.
And that's exactly what has happened. There was 360,000 in the pot, and all Chuck had to do was announce his bet, and Ben folded before Chuck could even finish his sentence. So you're right there, Maria. He was just done with his hand.
Another big hand here at our final table in Mount Pleasant and another elimination. It's time to step aside for a quick commercial break, but when we come back, more exciting final table action. You're watching the HPT.
Welcome back to the HPT. It's our championship open here at the Soaring Eagle Casino Resort in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. These players are playing to win. Let's get right back to the table.
The chip positions have remained pretty status quo here. Andrew Beardsley still remains as our chip leader with just over 6 million. Chuck Tawney has exactly 4 million, and Ron Bell is still hanging in there with 2.69 million. Ben Grice is still working his shorter stack, trying to get to a more comfortable position.
Yeah, Ben sitting with just over 1.5 million in chips. Unfortunately, with the blind levels, that's only equaling about 19 big blinds. The blinds are 40 and 80 with a 10,000 chip ante. So Maria, 19 big blinds, what kind of a hand are you looking for?
They are four-handed, so I think what Ben needs to be doing is looking for great spots to 3-bet shove over the wider opens that these players are going to be opening with. So I think that that's the most important thing to pick up chips, because when you raise and everybody else folds, you are picking up the blinds, but when you 3-bet shove, you're picking up the blinds, the antes, and the previous player's raise. So that just gives you a lot more to work with.
Andrew is going to limp in with Queen Jack suited. Now, Maria, do you think these other players know Ben's 19 big blind stack is just lurking in the wings, waiting to pounce, and that's why they're limping here?
Possibly. I think that Andrew might have limped this hand from the small blind because he doesn't want to necessarily have to call off a shove from Ben if you raise. I think Andrew limped in from the small blind with Queen Jack here because he didn't want to have to face a 3-bet all-in from Ben and have to call off with Queen Jack, because that's probably not a good enough hand to do that with against Ben's stack size. So yeah, I don't really mind that these players are treading a little bit more carefully, but you know, Ben also has a short enough stack where he really needs to wake up with a pretty good hand if he's going to get it all in. So, you know, I think there's an argument that could be made for both sides.
The board right now is 7, Jack, 5. The turn is a 10 of clubs. Ben has a pair of 5s. Andrew has top pair with a pair of jacks. Ben fired the flop. Andrew smooth called, and now a 10 of clubs on the turn is going to have Andrew lead out. And Ben is quickly going to fold, and you're starting to see a little frustration in Ben there. He's trying to make something happen. Unfortunately, the action and the cards are kind of roadblocking him here.
I feel like Ben has played his 15 to 20 big blind stack really well, actually. So it's now just about the cards kind of going his way.
Got to catch some cards in a poker turn, especially short-handed. Action in this hand will start with our chip leader, Andrew Beardsley. He's got Queen 10 offsuit.
I think Andrew, as our chip leader and four-handed, should be opening Queen 10 there.
Ben on the button has 9-6, and he's going to lay it down. Over now to Chuck. Chuck has Queen 7. I'm just going to throw it out there and say Chuck's going to raise. Big prediction. No, he's going to limp. He's changing gears on me.
He is.
Ron in the big blind looks down at Queen 9, so he's going to go to the flop way ahead here. Both players share the queen. Ron has him out kicked.
The flop is 8-4 deuce, couple of hearts there. Chuck does have the 7 of hearts, and he does have moxie, so I think he's probably just going to lead in here.
You are correct again, my friend. Chuck's going to fire 80,000, and a board like that, I don't see Ron calling, but I'm wrong a lot.
You're wrong about Ron.
Ron is going to smooth call here.
I think Ron looks at his 2 overs, backdoor straight possibilities, and the fact that, you know, he doesn't really give Chuck a lot of credit.
Chuck once again is going to hit his hand. He turns second pair with the 7s. And now Chuck's going to check. Boy, he just zigs and zags in all the right spots, doesn't he?
I think he doesn't want to bloat the pot. There are a couple of draws here now, and he's definitely not planning to check fold, I don't think. But this way he just kind of has a little bit more of a handle on the way that the action's going.
200,000 is the bet from Ron. And now Chuck on a decision with second pair. He is going to make the call. And Ron's thinking, geez, I thought that was going to work. The river's the 4 of clubs. So Chuck has the best hand unless Ron can find the right bet to move Chuck off of the hand. Chuck's going to check over. So here's Ron's chance.
And I think that there's a chance that Chuck might call. The 4 of clubs isn't the best card for Chuck's hand on the river, but the flush draw did miss.
And Chuck is going to make the call after pausing for a moment to think it over. And he's going to see that once again, he is right. Chuck has been right a lot more often than he's been wrong. He has maintained the chip lead most of this final table. Andrew Beardsley took it over after eliminating John Drakakis on just a wicked bad beat.
I like that Ron called that flop bet and knew he couldn't win without betting, and he did try both on the turn and the river, and it just didn't work out for him.
Andrew will be under the gun this hand. Andrew is a dealer, originally from Flint, Michigan, now lives in Swartz Creek, Michigan, into this event for just a $360 qualifier. So he's looking for a huge parlay. He's going to lay it down now over to Ben Grice on the button and a short stack.
Ben has ace-4 of clubs, and that seems to be good enough for a raise.
At what point do you stop raising and you just start shoving with Ben's stack?
Well, Ben has about 18 big blinds, so I don't think that I would open shove with that stack unless I had a hand like 6s or 5s, a hand where you don't really want to let multiple players in, but it's also a little bit too good to just fold.
Well, Ben makes it $180,000 to go with a suited ace, and he is going to get a call from Ron with king-queen of clubs.
When you have a stronger hand like ace-king or something, you do want to induce players. That's why you raise wanting to call it off, but I don't think that small pairs are good enough to induce.
The flop is 9, 7, 10 with 2 diamonds, no clubs on this board. Ron has a gut shot straight draw. He'll be hoping for a jack. He's also got 2 live cards. So you can see Ben is ahead in this hand with ace high, but statistically, Ron isn't that far behind.
I think Ben knows that there's a good chance that this board could have hit Ron's hand. I think Ben's planning to take one stab at the flop and giving up on the later streets.
That seemed like a weak stab to me, to be honest. He bet 180 pre-flop, and then he c-bets at 90,000.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a little bit telling of Ben's willingness to commit more chips to this hand. And, you know, if his opponent is really perceptive, he would be able to pick up on that.
The turn is the jack of hearts. That gives Ron the straight. And he's going to check it over to Ben to see if he's going to fire a second barrel.
And now this becomes a problem for Ben because he's trying to rep the hand that his opponent has. And, you know, I do think that the jack could be a good card for Ben to bet at, but unfortunately, Ron is the one with the hand here.
Ben is going to bet 280,000.
If I were Ron, I'd probably just call here. His hand will look so extraordinarily strong if he decides to check raise Ben on this board. And although he might not want to give his opponent a free look at the diamond, I just don't think that he's going to get enough value here if he check raises.
He does check raise, and Ben quickly releases his hand. And yeah, I'm really feeling for Ben here, Maria. He's trying to get some traction, trying to make some moves, trying to get something going, but the cards just keep slapping him in the face. Four-handed on our way to a championship here at the Soaring Eagle Casino Resort when we come back. Thanks for coming back to the HPT. We're inching ever closer to our newest HPT champion. Let's check the updated chip counts.
Seems like all of the players are kind of just chipping away at Ben Grice's stack. No other players have really lost any chips besides Ben, and unfortunately for him, he is on a 9 big blind stack now.
Yeah, at this point, Maria, it's fold or shove for Ben with just 9 big blinds. I'm feeling for the kid. I'm rooting for him. He's trying to make something happen, but everything just seems to be going against him right now. Action in this hand is going to start with our chip leader, Andrew Beardsley.
I feel like Andrew might be playing a little bit too tight. I think I really want to see him loosen up his game.
Action folded to the second biggest stack at the table and the former chip leader, Chuck Tawney. Chuck is a welding inspector from Chesterfield, Michigan, but is definitely playing a higher level game than what we normally see from an amateur player.
Ron checks his option with 10-3. And I think the reason Chuck might be limping a lot is I think he realized that he just plays post-flop very well against these players, and there's no real reason for him to be raising all the time pre-flop because he is able to maneuver post-flop so well.
The flop is 3, ace, 8, rainbow, so both players pair the 3. Chuck has the better kicker with the queen, and he is going to bet, makes it 80,000.
And Ron makes the call here.
You know, fourth place is going to go home with $44,756. Third place, a little over $64,000. So a big money difference between fourth and third place as the 10 of hearts falls on the turn, giving Ron 2 pair now.
And now Chuck checks it over to Ron, and Ron bets $200,000. I don't really feel like this is the kind of board texture that Chuck should be planning to call the turn and the river on. So if I were him, I probably would just fold here. I don't really think that there's many hands that Ron calls the flop with that's just air at this point.
To the river we go. It is the Jack of Hearts. So Ron, again, has the best hand. And Chuck is going to check again over to Ron.
And that's the kind of river where I feel like if Chuck wanted to try to win this pot, he could have led out on that river. And if Ron didn't have two pair, he probably would fold a lot of the time.
A $500,000 bet on the river is going to get Chuck to lay down two pair. Blinds continuing on at 40 and 80,000 with a 10,000 chip ante. Ron Bell's stacking the chips he just won off of Chuck. And it looks like Ron and Andrew are in the blind, so that'll make Ben Grice first to act with just 9 big blinds in his stack. Maria, ace-4. What do you say?
Yeah, ace-4, 9 big blinds, four-handed. Put it in there.
Giddy up. Ben is all in. And Chuck wakes up with a monster ace-king. I suspect he is going to go all in to isolate.
He's basically committed himself to call any other stacks here with this re-raise, and he might have committed himself to calling Ron here, who wakes up with queens.
Fireworks brewing here at our four-handed final table, and Ron is going to go all in.
And you know Chuck's not going to like this, but he has to call. He knows Ron must have a very, very big hand here.
Andrew is going to get out of the way. Ben is already all in, so the decision on Chuck, and he is going to make the call. And Ben's got to feel he's in a bad way with a re-raise and all in and a call behind him.
Yeah, unfortunately, nothing really has gone Ben's way here, and this is just another example.
So Chuck can score a double knockout and regain the chip lead if he can find one of the remaining 2 aces or a king.
Chuck definitely doesn't like to see that one of his outs is in Ben's hand here. He has the chance to eliminate 2 players right now and get heads up against Andrew, but he'll have to get pretty lucky to do it.
So we can go from four-handed to heads up in just one hand. Here is the flop.
The flop is 3, Jack, 6, 2 clubs. Chuck has the ace of clubs in his hand, but for now, Ron's queens are still best. Turn is the 7 of clubs. Now that is an interesting card because Ben has a gut shot straight draw, but it can't be the 5 of clubs. Ron's got the best hand here with queens, but he doesn't want to see an ace, a king, or a club on the river, or else Chuck is going to knock both of these players out.
Dramatic river on deck. Huge amount of chips in the pot here. Here it comes.
And the river is a 10, a great brick and a great fade for Ron. Unfortunately for Ben, he is eliminated. Ron's going to double through Chuck here.
Ben Grice, medical software trainer, part-time poker player from Indianapolis, Indiana, going home with just under $65,000 for his great play this weekend. Congratulations.
I think Ben played the best he could with what he had. Unfortunately, at this final table, he just didn't have much.
Well, Ben Grice is going home with a nice pocket full of change for his impressive run at this final table. Time now for A Poker Life featuring legendary poker player Doyle Brunson, where he regales us with stories of yesteryear. This week, Doyle tells us about when there was actually a time when it was okay to cheat. Brought to you by our friends at aceplaypoker.com.
Okay, back in the old days, it was considered acceptable, I guess you'd say, whatever you could do to win. I mean, if it meant for Jack to cheat in a poker game and cheat me in a poker game, he would do it. But if I took a piece of his action, say, and took, like, say, Jack, okay, I got 25% or 50% in this game, he wouldn't do anything wrong at all, would not miscount the money or anything. It was just a strange code of honor. That's what it was. It was, okay, you know, we're gambling. Whoever can do whatever they want to do and win, it's okay. But if you put your trust in me, you know, I'm not going to betray you. And there was a lot of guys like that.
Wow, amazing. Maria, as a professional poker player, can you ever imagine a time when cheating was okay?
No, I mean, that was definitely a different time. Come back for more poker without the cheating from Soaring Eagle Casino Resort.
Welcome back to the HPT, coming to you from the Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Things are really heating up inside the poker room. 3 players remain. Let's send things over to Freddie and Maria. Guys?
And the leaderboard has been turned upside down. Ron Bell scoring a huge double up against Chuck Tawney and eliminating Ben Grice on that same hand. He has just over 7 million now. Andrew Beardsley still steady with 6 million. And Chuck Tawney, who's played a great game this entire final table, just lost a lot of his chips in that flip, has 11 big blinds.
Ron is on the button, which makes him under the gun pre-flop when you're 3-handed. He's going to fold, and Andrew quickly moves all in, and Chuck is going to make the call.
It's 8 against ace-9.
This is a very standard situation here. Andrew sees ace-8 in the small blind, decides to put Chuck all in with it, and Chuck just happens to have him notched here with ace-9, calling it off for his tournament life.
Here comes the flop for Chuck's tournament life.
And the flop is 10, king 10, couple of diamonds there. Chuck still has the lead, and he has the 9 of diamonds.
Chuck in a good spot right now.
A couple of chop outs, though, if a king comes on the turn.
A spade would give Andrew a good sweat. The turn is the 9 of hearts. That's going to pair Chuck's 9, so Andrew will just be drawing dead to a chop. He'll be hoping to find a king or an ace on the river to chop this. Otherwise, Chuck will double up.
I don't really know about you, but I'm rooting for Ron.
And the river is the 6 of diamonds. That is going to make Chuck the winner, and Chuck is going to double up to just over 3.6 million.
And I know neither Ron nor Andrew are happy about that, because not only would they have liked to get heads up with each other, but now Chuck has a playable stack, and he's going to be really dangerous with it.
Chuck has been one of the more dangerous players at this final table since we started. Just a few hands have gone against him. You know, a couple of flips didn't go his way, and that's really what took him down the chip ladder. But now the kid is back. Look out. And Andrew will be under the gun this hand. Got connecting cards, and he's going to muck.
I think it's just a little too tight to be folding really many hands on the button.
Chuck is not one to be folding too many hands. Looks like he is staging some raisin chips, and that's what he does. He makes it $230,000 with 8-4 of spades.
I tell you, Chuck doesn't get attached to his chips. He just got them, but he's willing to put them back out there again.
He likes to splash. Ron is going to make the call here, it looks like, with Queen 7 offsuit.
I like that Ron's not afraid of Chuck, and he's not afraid to get in there. I think when you have position against a player like Chuck, it's okay to call wide range of your hands.
The flop is 6-10 queen with a couple of hearts.
Chuck's got a whole lot of nothing right now, but Ron has hit top pair.
Chuck was the original raiser pre-flop, so he is going to do the standard continuation bet here. Makes it $320,000 to go. And Ron just going to smooth call. Not too afraid of this board.
Turn is the 10 of clubs. Chuck still just on a bluff if he bets here.
And you can see by the percentages, Ron has this hand locked up. There's no way Chuck can win it.
But Chuck decides that he wants to try to bet Ron off of whatever hand he could possibly have, whether that be a draw or a queen. I think the flop was fairly draw heavy, so I don't mind Chuck trying to take another stab here.
$540,000 is the bet from Chuck. And Ron not too afraid of that second 10 on the board, it looks like.
And I do like Chuck's bet size here. He makes it very difficult for a lot of draws to call again. So now that Ron has called the turn bet, I think there's a lot of rivers that Chuck might have to shut down on.
Chuck hoping for a good scare card to bluff with on the river, and this is not the card. The Queen of Clubs gives Ron the full house. Chuck quickly going to move all in. Ron is going to snap call, and table is full house. And Maria, just like that, Chuck is out the door on a bluff.
Bad time for Chuck to bluff there, but you know what? You cannot fault him for having a whole lot of guts. He's going to go home with over 64,000, and honestly, he played like a champ today.
Chuck is standing by with our own James Larson, HBT's sideline reporter, to get his thoughts on today's play.
Thanks, guys. I'm now joined with Chuck, and going out in third place, a nice payday, but you can't be very happy because you came in as the chip leader and you're going out in third. Your thoughts?
Well, made a bad mistake at the end there, but I think I played well overall. Just had a few unfortunate hands.
And after you relinquished the chip lead, you came back, doubled up, and you thought you were right back in the saddle again.
Yeah, I got a little too aggressive there. But
It's never easy to do these interviews, but anyway, congratulations. Shake my hand. You played great. Just over 64,000 going out in third place. That is Chuck. Maria and Fred, we'll send it over to you.
There's a lot of moving and shaking going on, and we are going to have our next HPT champion real soon. Come back for more from Soaring Eagle Casino Resort.
Well, here we are, Maria. Hundreds of players started. The final table started with 9, and now we are down mano a mano for the championship and life-changing money. Let's check the updated chip count as we start Heads Up Poker.
And now Ron Bell and Andrew Beardsley have found themselves heads up. With Ron having the chip lead over Andrew, he's got $9.4 million to Andrew's $4.8 million.
The dealer from Swartz Creek, Michigan against the business owner from Toledo, Ohio. Maria, one of these two men are going to be able to say they are a champion among champions, as all of HPT's Season 9 champions converged on this event to compete for the Player of the Year prize as well. So not the average field you would find on the HPT here in Michigan.
Ron raises here to $250,000 with 9-7 of hearts. Andrew's going to call with King-6 of diamonds.
And the flop is Deuce 5 King with a couple of spades.
Andrew quickly checks it over to Ron, who I'm sure is going to follow this up with the standard continuation bet.
And Andrew playing this hand a little fast. He's just going to go ahead and shove. And yeah, Ron can't do much. He's going to have to lay it down.
I think Ron's bet size there was a little bit too big, and I definitely don't think Andrew needed to just check shove his entire stack there. But I think honestly the dynamics heads up are so different, but I want to see both of these players get more comfortable seeing hands out to the river.
Blinds continuing on at 50 and 100,000 with a 10,000 chip ante. Andrew looks down at Jack 9 offsuit, and he is going to get some raisin chips ready. Out to the middle they go. 285,000. And look at this. Ron wakes up with a monster heads up. Ace Jack.
I think Andrew's raise size is just indicative of him not feeling comfortable. You don't really need to be raising 2.8x here heads up with a hand like Jack 9.
And just a smooth call from Ron with Ace Jack.
I'm pretty surprised at that as well. I think Ron should probably 3-bet there out of position, but maybe he just feels like Andrew's been playing fairly tight and he's just trying to give him more credit.
The flop is Queen Ace 10 Rainbow, so Ron has flopped top pair, also has a gut shot straight draw to Broadway.
Andrew has flopped an open-ended straight draw. He shares the same draw for Broadway as Ron, but an 8 can also win him the pot.
And both players check through the flop. The turn is the 4 of spades. No help to either player. Ron way ahead with top pair, and he's been hiding it really well.
Ron decides now is the time to fire, and that, again, is basically a half-pot bet size, which I don't really mind, but I don't really think it's necessary to bet that much when Andrew checks back that flop.
Andrew is going to raise here, makes it 1.6 million. Semi-bluffing his open-ended draw. Of course, we know a king would actually chop the pot. The only way Andrew's going to win this hand is if an 8 comes on the river.
And I'm not surprised that Ron's going to give that raise on the turn a lot of respect coming from Andrew. The river is the 4 of clubs, and I think if Andrew shoves all in, there's a chance he might be able to get Ron to fold, but I just don't know if Andrew has it in him.
Well, we'll see. He is stacking the chips, and oh, he's going to fire, but it's not going to be nearly enough to get rid of top pair heads up. 900,000 is the bet, and that's going to bloat the pot to just over 4.6 million.
That's just not a big enough bet for Andrew to win that pot there on the river. I think, honestly, Andrew had a little less than pot size shove there on the river, And I think if he put it in, it would have gotten a lot of respect from Ron.
Heads Up Poker for the championship and just under $160,000 when we come back to the Soaring Eagle Casino Resort.
Welcome back to the HPT, and it's now time on the program we've all been waiting for. It's time for some Heads Up Poker. Will our champion be Andrew, or will it be Ron? Let's go inside and send it over to Freddie and Maria. Guys?
Ron Bell has really now widened the gap. He's got 11.6 million. Andrew Beardsley's only got a little over 2.6 million, and he's got to be ready to make a huge comeback if he wants to take this championship down.
26 big blinds in Andrew's stack. Plenty of room to play, certainly plenty of room to mount a comeback. Of course, if that happens, we are going to be here a long time, which I don't mind a bit. Blinds are 50 and 100,000 with a 10,000 chip ante. Heads Up Poker, the button is the small blind and will act first pre-flop. In this case, that is Ron, and he's going to look down at Ace King. Really? Really? Heads Up Poker, you're going to get premium hands like Ace Jack, Ace King?
It's not easy to do. He's going to raise it to 300,000.
And Andrew looks down at 10 Jack, quickly goes all in, and Ron snap calls. Can't blame him a bit for that. So here we go, Maria. Ron hoping to fade a Jack or 10 or just end it and connect with an Ace or a King. The other side of the coin, Andrew's hoping to get lucky here and double up and still fight for the championship.
When Ron 3X is there, I don't mind Andrew shoving in here. I think he was trying to do what we've talked about a lot, is 3-bet shoving with a 20-ish big blind stack. And when Ron does 3X it pre-flop, there's a lot more money to be won. Unfortunately, Ron has a huge hand here, and Andrew's going to need to get lucky, or else Ron will be our new champion.
Big swing hand here as the flop comes. King 5-6. That is the flop Ron wanted to see. He has just locked out the 2 live cards of Andrew by pairing the king.
Now Andrew's going to need running straight cards, running trips, or running 2 pair. And, you know, we all know how hard it is to go runner in poker, and the turn is the deuce of spades. And it is going to eliminate Andrew in second place, going home with just over 98,000.
Great run for both these players. Both these gentlemen had the chip lead at one time. Ron caught fire at the right moment at the final table to really catapult way ahead of the chip lead, and from there it was his tournament to lose.
Looks like a nice guy, gracious winner. Andrew taking it pretty well because he's got almost 100,000.
Yeah, it's bittersweet, but it's hard to be upset when you're going home with this kind of money. He is standing by with James Larson to hear his thoughts on today's play.
Thanks, guys. I'm joined with Andrew. Now, you started the day 4th in chips. You finished 2nd. That's not too bad.
No, I did exactly what I wanted to do. I just wanted to grind it most of the day away and maintain my chip stack and try to get close, and I got close, so I'm good with that.
Well, you outlasted a lot of players, and you are going home with just over 98,000. That's a lot of money.
I guess it is. Yes, it's a lot of money.
What are your plans for the cash? And I'm guessing it has something to do with your rail here. I think you're buying drinks.
We're buying a lot of drinks. Yeah.
Well, congratulations. Finally, Freddie and Maria, a 2nd place winner who's happy because there's nothing not to be happy about. He's going home with just over 98,000. We'll send it back to you guys.
Thank you very much, James, and congratulations again to Andrew. Boy, a lot of chip lead flopping throughout this final table, but at the end of the day, it is Ron Bell's night. He is our Championship Open champion here at the Soaring Eagle Casino Resort, and he's on the floor with our James Larson.
Thanks so much, guys. I'm now joined with our new HPT champion. Please give it up for Ron Bell, everybody. All right, Ron, well, you're standing here. You got the title and the cash. Your heads-up opponent, though, Andrew, he's a tough competitor, and it's never easy.
No, it's never easy. Never easy. Played with Andrew yesterday. He sat to my right, and he just ground out. He had a short stack. Most players would have blown that off and never been here. So that's really where I think he did what he did. How he got here was the key. So great opponent.
Well, let's go back to when you eliminated Chuck. You took him out, and you had the queen there. He was on a stone-cold bluff there with 8-4. What was going through your mind as you hit that hand, and then you had a bunch of chips?
He is an amazing player, very aggressive, and I was hoping to be able to trap him, and I thought I had him. So that's how that worked.
Well, Ron, congratulations one more time. He is our new champion. His name is Ron Bell, going home with just under $160,000 and the championship here in Mount Pleasant. Freddie and Maria, we'll send it over to you.
Maria, in the game of poker, you can run well but you got to keep running well, especially at that critical three-handed stage of the tournament. Chuck played a great game, but Ron caught the cards when he needed to. What is your take on today's play?
Yeah, when it came down to shorthanded, it looked like Chuck was in complete control, but then he lost that huge flip against Ron with his ace-king against Ron's queens. And you know, Ron really took it all the way to the championship from there.
It was a fun final table to watch, nail-biting right down to the end. Now, do you think you have what it takes to sit under the bright lights and play this kind of poker on national TV for life-changing money? Well, then log on to hptpoker.com and find an event near you. For the lovely and talented Maria Ho and James Larson, I'm Fred Bevel. We'll see you right here next time on the HPT.